Going to bed should be a welcome rest after a stressful day.
All right, then.
But increasingly, those stresses are following us to sleep.
Stop a minute, stop.
And are fueling a surge in extreme sleep disorders.
When you throw yourself out the window, you sort of think, I haven't heard of anyone do that before.
I've never thought Tom would see old bones. I've always had a sort of like an inner sense that, you know, something would happen to him.
But it doesn't just affect the sufferers.
There was one night I woke up while I was having sex.
With the double-dip recession biting and people fearing for their jobs, sleep clinics have never been busier. Sleep disorders are evolving to include sleep eating and even sleep texting.
I was checking my phone and sent about 5 or 6 text messages. Got no memory of doing that whatsoever.
But with so little known about these disorders, can those affected ever be helped?
No.
Do have it in the back of my mind where I'm thinking, am I going to actually harm my wife Vicky during the nights?
Oh, please don't, please don't.
It's never really peaceful to go to bed. It's sort of almost like a chore to go to bed because I've got to lock the windows, got to lock the shutters, I've got to clear the floor. I can't just fall asleep, you know, because the times that I have just gone to bed, fallen asleep and left the window open, I've done something, you know, bad. I've heard how people have killed people they're sleeping with. And then you start to think, is that possible, you know? Could I maybe hurt my girlfriend while I'm in bed with her? Could I hurt my baby if she's in the same room as me? Just literally going to bed looking, thinking, oh, fuck, please don't do anything. You know, I didn't think I'd jump out of a window, and I've done it twice.
Stop a minute, stop playing, stop, Paul. Stop, wait, stop what you're doing, mate, stop. Lift your foot a minute. No, please. Hey, Mark, please, mate. Mark, trust me, Mark. Please, mate, trust me. Mark.
Control drive. Nice tempo.
23-year-old Tom Burbeck has suffered from night terrors for most of his life, with the worst episodes coinciding with the most stressful periods.
When the GCSEs started, that was the first time when he came down the stairs. His A-levels, the time when he came off the roof, it was towards his end of university exams and stuff.
In February of this year, Tom was living in Bristol studying for his final university exams.
It was a normal weekend, it was a quiet Sunday night. I went to bed at about 11 o'clock, I think it was. I was living in an attic conversion, and it was at the very, very top, and it had 2 Velux windows. One was locked and one wasn't, and the one that wasn't locked was inside a bathroom. The next thing I remember was me basically landing on the floor, landing on concrete, landing on a patio.
Tom had fallen 30 feet.
What they think have happened is I've opened the window and jumped out and rolled off the roof and hit the floor.
Tom's mum got the phone call from her husband that she'd been dreading.
He said he's jumped off the roof of a building, and I just said, oh, my God. I really thought that, that it was really bad news. That was the only thing I could think of.
I did tell you, I'd spoken to him, and he said he wasn't
No, I know you did, but
He was
that
talking
initial
not,
conversation was how it was, and I said, what's happened to him? And you said, well, I've spoken to him, and he's okay.
It was either the shock or the pain or the cold, probably a mix of all 3 or 4 things that woke me up. I knew I was bleeding, there was blood all on the floor and there was blood all over me, but I just wanted to get in the house. I was more sort of not embarrassed, but I felt vulnerable at the time because I was in my boxer shorts outside, covered in blood, and I just thought, oh, Christ, you know, I need to get inside.
That was the worst time by far, absolutely. Because he was on his own. I want to cry in a minute. Yeah, it's a worry. He was totally black and blue all over, and he was as white as a sheet. So I went up to collect him.
He hadn't broken anything?
No, he hadn't broken a single
And the
thing.
doctors weren't...
Had stitches, but not broken a thing.
They x-rayed him 4 times, I think.
Twice.
Oh, well, exaggeration. But they couldn't believe he hadn't broken anything because he'd fallen from such a height.
The only way I can see how someone relates to it, and it's weird to say, is in the film The Hulk, when he wakes up and he's in his underwear and he doesn't know quite what's happened, but he knows what's happened, but he doesn't know what he's done. When most people go home after a crap day, you go home, you lie down in your bed and you think, oh, I'm here, you know, whatever. You start thinking about the day, yeah, it's done, OK, I'll go to bed, I'll do this tomorrow. Before I go to bed, I'm thinking, am I going to wake up in A&E? Or am I going to wake up and today would have been the last day I was walking because I'm in a wheelchair? Or even worse, you know.
The pace of modern life is taking its toll on the nation's sleep. 2/3 of Britons are regularly sleep deprived, and 1 in 10 suffers from a sleep disorder.
The stress that we all expose to in our daily lives has led to an increase in attendance at sleep centres.
Over the last 10 years, we've seen a massive increase in referrals from about 450 a year to well into the 2,000, 2,500 range. We get about 50 referrals a week now.
We know that stress makes people's sleep more fragmented, and so you could see that stress would easily feed into making parasomnias more frequent and maybe more dramatic.
As well as our increasing stress levels, sleep clinics are also reporting the emergence of new kinds of sleep disorders.
I was checking my phone and sent about 5 or 6 text messages. Got no memory of doing that whatsoever.
He's done that to a few people where he's just texted people in his sleep. That's just weird.
In modern Britain, reported cases of sleep disorders are on the rise. As technology plays an increasingly large part in our lives, sleep disorder specialists are seeing new kinds of unconscious behaviour in patients.
Using cell phones or computers in the bedroom, the intrusions that we all are familiar with can have their effect on sleep.
Anything that you can do at a fairly low level of behaviour for people that do them all day long, so texting, using the telephone, it isn't surprising that those things are now being described.
32-year-old Barry Whitley is surrounded by technology every day. He works long hours at a video game store.
Jim, to get a bigger bag for you? Or is that all right?
Yeah,
I've always sleepwalked. Nothing major, just a few episodes now and again. And then I've moved to this place, and it's kind of out of control now. It was at least once a week, twice a week sometimes.
For almost all of his life, Barry lived in the house where he grew up, but he's recently moved in with John and Natasha.
He didn't tell us anything before he moved in with regards to sleepwalking or any nocturnal activities that might put us off allowing him to stay here naturally. So,
he did once he moved in. He said he has been known to sleepwalk, but we didn't really see anything like the first couple of weeks. So I just thought, oh, maybe it was just he used to do it and it's something that doesn't really happen anymore.
Right, I'm officially stuck on Angry Birds. The worst thing that's ever happened, I think I've been here 2 weeks, and all I remember is kind of finding myself in Natasha's bedroom with the lights on, kind of going through washing like Natasha and John were in bed.
Yep.
That was mortifying. It was quite scary, kind of just waking up in someone else's room, not knowing how I got there.
We were fast asleep and I just heard like a noise at the end of the bed. I thought it was a cat, but I put the light on and it was something bigger than a cat, and it was Barry. He was on his hands and knees on the floor and he'd pulled our washing down and he looked like he was making a bed out of the washing like a cat does.
I mean, he kind of looked at us, this kind of blank stare, almost as if he was listening to us, but not really. He wasn't really taking it in. Yeah, it just looked strange.
But Barry doesn't just sleepwalk. He also sleep texts.
After I'd initially been woke up, I kind of went back to bed, went straight back to sleep as far as I was aware. The next morning I was checking my phone and sent about 5 or 6 text messages apologising. I've got no memory of doing that whatsoever.
They weren't apologising, I can't remember what they were, but they didn't make sense. And he's done that to a few people, where he's just texted people in his sleep. That's just weird.
Barry is usually unaware of his nighttime activities.
How are you?
I'm fine. I slept like a baby.
Unless there's evidence lying around.
It's quite possible I may have eaten some M&Ms. Yeah, there's M&Ms on the floor. And now. I'm blushing now.
If there's food in the bedroom, I will kind of just eat it in my sleep. Normally I'll kind of wake up and there'll be like food in the bed or kind of on the floor or melted chocolate. And I think that's an accident, but it's actually chocolate.
At the end of the week, he'll just bring all round the empty boxes and packaging and stick it in the recycling, and that's all the evidence we see. And we often do wonder how he managed to eat all that food, or crap as it is, in such a small amount of time. But obviously he's doubling up because he's eating it in his sleep as well. And if I'm downstairs, I'll hear him go back and forth outside, from the bathroom, opening the door. Never uses the toilet though, just back and forth. It would do it like maybe 6 or 7 times in an hour. Not achieving anything, just annoying me.
When I lived alone, I wasn't hurting anyone, wasn't affecting anybody else. Now that I'm living with people, it's a different kettle of fish because I'm disturbing other people's sleep, even though I'm fast asleep, oblivious to what I'm doing. It's quite scary because I don't like to piss people off, basically. I like to be a good housemate, try to be considerate, but obviously in my sleep I've got no control over it.
While Barry's sleep disorder doesn't pose a threat to anyone, some parasomnias can have tragic consequences. In 2008, Brown Thomas awoke in his caravan in Wales to discover he'd strangled his wife in his sleep. He was eventually acquitted of murder on the basis that he was not conscious and therefore not responsible for his actions. It's stories like this that worry Dave and Vicky Devlin from Warrington.
Where people are usually looking forward to going to bed after a long day at work, for me there's more apprehension to going to bed because I'm kind of worried about what I'm going to do during the night. Definitely seems to be two sides to me, really. There's the gentle side of me during the day. On night time, I take on this mantle of a bit of a lunatic, really.
Some of the time he's just talking, and then the other times, the more severe times, are when he starts shouting, screaming, sometimes lashes out with his arms and legs, and you know, that can be quite scary, and at times I have kind of been brought to tears with the fear, really.
I do have it in the back of my mind where I'm thinking, am I going to actually harm my wife Vicky during the night?
All right then. No, this way, fire, eh? I've got a child fire. It's only you. Only you.
There are times when, you know, we've woken up in the morning and, you know, I might have a bruise somewhere on my leg or on my arm.
Oh, please no. Please, no. I will stop now.
At times I do get fed up with it and think, you know, I'd be much better off in a separate bedroom. But then I think it would be a shame, so kind of soon into our marriage, to have to separate at night time.
Dave currently has a demanding job working in a utility call centre.
I go through phases where you're trying to hit targets and things like that in work. You're trying to do the best you can.
You were made redundant, weren't you, last year?
Yeah.
And when the redundancy was looming, you know, that was quite a stressful period for both of us. And that did exacerbate the situation a bit as well.
Dave's condition has even forced them to reassess their plans for the future.
At the moment, we're not really looking into starting a family because of my actual night terrors, because I cannot be trusted in the same bedroom as a newborn baby.
It's something that obviously we're going to have to think about carefully because, you know, it is a risk.
With his sleep disorder disrupting their life plans, Dave's been referred to a specialist sleep clinic. In Devon, Tom has already attended a sleep clinic, but his night terrors only seem to be getting worse. 6 months ago, Tom jumped out of an attic window and fell 30 feet, sustaining serious injuries.
She's a bit of space.
Now Tom has finished university and is back at his parents' house, working to save money for a round-the-world trip.
What do you want me to do with this chicken, in all seriousness?
Boil it.
How do I do that?
Just get not a pan, a saucepan, fill it full of water and just boil it.
I don't think you ever stop worrying about your kids. I worry about Tom every time he's not at home. I mean, obviously, I'm Tom's mum, so as far as I'm concerned, Tom has to come first. Tom's always tired because he's awake a lot of the time. So he is irritable, whereas I probably make more allowances for that than Steve does, so that doesn't help our relationship.
Tom's dad, Stephen, is spending more and more time at their flat in Weymouth.
I have to say, I'm happier when I'm not in the house. One of the reasons especially is the responsibility for Tom is in somebody else's hands. And I know it's a cowardly thing to say, but I always have a better night's sleep because I don't have to have that worry that I'm listening for a noise, perhaps running away from it. But we've lived with it for so long now. I know we sleep pretty lightly and we don't sleep terribly well.
Steve certainly struggled with the fact that I had to put Tom first. I always had to put Tom first. Because that's what you sign up to as a parent.
We live apart because of Tom. You know, like when he fell down the stairs, I mean, Steve didn't sleep for weeks. You know, he just couldn't cope with it. That's not Tom's fault. That's our responsibility. My greatest fear is that one day I'm going to get a call and they're going to say that Tom has had this accident and he's no longer with us. And I know it sounds strange, but I've never thought Tom would see old bones.
He's a big lad now, and just holding on to him is hard enough when he's in that state. I've tried a few times, and he's slipped through my hands, and he's launched himself down the stairs and head hitting the banisters, the wall. You think, oh, how's he going to survive that? So you're just waiting for the next time.
Idiots.
Tom first attended the sleep clinic at St Thomas's 3 years ago.
Last time they came back and said, there's nothing we can do. Try a sedative. Gave me a sedative, it didn't work, and so we never went back.
The specialists at St Thomas's want to study him again to make sure they haven't missed something.
I'm going to be measuring your head because you're going to have an awful lot of wires glued on.
Okay, now I'd like you to make some nice loud snoring noises for me, please.
Okay, and just relax and breathe normally for me.
It needs to be sorted. We need to find a cure for it, and I just hope that someone somewhere is going to find some way of getting at that wiring problem in his brain, because I think that's what it's all about.
Tom Burbeck has spent the night at the sleep clinic at St Thomas's Hospital in the hope of finding out more about what's triggering his life-threatening night terrors.
Well, we've looked at the video from last night and the sleep study from last night, and it looks very typical of sleepwalking. One of the things we did notice before we talk about medication was mobile phone was on the bed, and we know that in some patients things like texts or the mobile phone ringing can act as a trigger to sleepwalking, so it might be worth having that out of your bedroom.
I understand, sleepwalking, everyone does a little bit of things in their sleep, but I don't understand what would make me go to the extreme of knowingly throwing myself out a window. That's the I'd probably be able to tolerate a bit of sleepwalking every now and again, but the fact that I could, throw myself out of a window is what worries me.
Well, I think these are very primitive behaviours, and probably what's happening is that you're dreaming or hallucinating at the time.
So would I be classed as awake or asleep at that point?
Yeah, it's a good question. Probably parts of the brain are awake and parts of the brain are asleep.
So that's why I don't remember it, because the part that remembers it's asleep?
Sleep, yeah.
Right, okay.
There's a drug called trimipramine, and in combination with a low dose of the clonazepam that you've had before. We use it for depression, but for sleepwalking, the dose that seemed to work was about a quarter of the dose.
It's not ideal, but it's sort of a compromise in a way that I'm not going to be sedated like an animal, like was what I was worried about.
Tom's worst night terrors coincide with periods of stress, a cause common to sufferers of all kinds of sleep disorders. 22-year-old Christian Prince works long shifts in a busy restaurant.
Normally I do only about 45 hours, but I've been doing that sort of 50 plus 55 hours recently.
To make ends meet, Christian's partner Jade also works full-time.
Daddy. We do work sort of crazy shift hours, which affects our sleep pattern. We also have a 10-month-old baby, so we don't have a very good sleep pattern. So obviously that does affect a lot about your body, your health, how your body runs.
See you later.
Bye. When I was young, around 8 to 10 sort of ages, I used to sleepwalk a lot. And then as I got older, over the past few years, I sort of realised after looking it up, I developed sexomnia. So I started having sex in my sleep. A few times, like Jade would mention something about having sex the previous night. But I would be like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, I had a night's sleep last night. I don't know what you're talking about. And then there was one night I woke up while I was having sex. So I've, you know, finished off. And then afterwards I said to Jade, like, I wasn't awake in the beginning. Like, it was confusing. It was a weird experience. But then obviously we sort of understood why she kept saying we was having sex and I didn't think we were.
It affected me more emotionally because of the fact that he would wake up and not have any memory of us having any sexual contact. I was angry and I was hurt, but then after obviously researching it, I found out that they can get violent. Obviously, they don't know what they're doing in their sleep and it can lead to violence, and that's when I started getting worried. I'm too sort of afraid to stop him because I don't know what he's capable of doing whilst he's asleep.
She knows I'm not to blame, but she doesn't want it to happen. That must be like quite a horrible situation. Not being in control, I don't know what I could do. I don't know what I could say. I don't want to like rape my girlfriend.
Hi, I'm David Devlin.
29-year-old David Devlin has never been diagnosed for his sleep condition. He's been referred to the Papworth Hospital Sleep Clinic in Cambridge.
How's a look? Okay. Fetching. Good night. Oh, good night.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
We studied you last night, and what happens with you is you wake up very suddenly from deep sleep, and you sort of half your brain wakes up and half your brain doesn't, if that makes sense, because you've had this sudden waking up from very deep sleep. I have to tell you, there isn't a licensed medication for this problem, so any medications we do use would be off licence. Does that sound like something you'd like to try?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, okay.
I'm willing to try anything really, just to put an end to it.
Okay.
Hopefully, yeah.
I can't cure this condition, you know, I can't take it away. It's part of your genetic makeup. You know, you were born this way, but what we hopefully aim to do is to keep it under control enough so it's tolerable for everybody. And I understand you're planning a family and things, so it would be helpful to keep all those kind of things under control. Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, After.
Bye now.
Thanks very much.
Quite happy about the way the consultation went. There's some medication that they believe would help me with this condition, so it's all very positive and hopefully it does work.
Tom is now taking his fourth different kind of medication. This weekend, he's looking after his 8-month-old daughter Bella from a previous relationship.
But at first she used to stay in my mum's room, but now she normally stays in my room unless I'm working very late. Obviously, I wouldn't want to, I'd like the peace of mind going to sleep knowing that I'm not going to throw her against the wall or anything like that. But like I said, I've never hurt anybody yet, I just hurt myself. You know, I can't imagine deliberately going for her in my sleep. It'd be nice if I went to bed and I didn't have to worry about it.
When did she wake up?
About half an hour ago, I think.
Oh, good girl, take that out your mouth. Good girl. Did she sleep okay?
Yep.
Good.
Don't think anything happened.
Since Tom's had the night vision cameras in his room, it's starting to become clear to his family just how frequent his night terrors really are.
Help! Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
That's weird.
Fuck off. Fuck off. Oh. 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 Fuck off.
Still can't believe that it happens as much as it does. Even with the baby there, I wondered if perhaps that might calm him down, because he had that responsibility of having somebody else there, but it doesn't seem to have any bearing.
I'm stuck really, because I think I haven't done anything, but in the morning I clearly have, so I don't really know. I just... She probably won't stay in mine anymore, I don't think. I don't think it's really worth the risk. If something was to happen, you know, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself.
I didn't realise how much it affected him. And I don't think I probably realised how much it affected us all, and certainly my relationship with Tom and stuff, because I used to lose my patience thinking that, oh, he's just lazy. But he was always so tired, and I just didn't realise that. It's not since all of this was happening that I realised just sometimes what a struggle it must have been for him.
Christian's sleep disorder, Sexomnia, has only recently been recognised as a medical condition.
When I first started seeking help, I went to a doctor once. The doctor didn't have a clue. Well, it was hard getting him to understand what was happening to me, and by the time I got through to him, he didn't have a clue what was going on. So then they referred me to St Thomas's.
St Thomas's Hospital in London has one of the most advanced sleep disorder clinics in the country.
They said to me that I might not be able to get rid of it completely, like it'd just be about control and reducing it and improving the quality of sleep. And the quality of sleep is a big thing for me as well. So obviously I work a lot of hours, so I need that solid sleep.
So if you just come through to our tech room and we'll get you all set up. Sorry, Rota, can you from all different angles?
So this is a really weird experience. One guy drawing on my head. I'm quite anxious to sort of just get it done with and get the results. I just want the control back myself. I want to be able to go to bed and know that I'm not going to try to have sex with Jade, or, you know, even go to a party and get drunk, people fall asleep. I don't want to fall asleep at a party and just get told the next day I tried to rape someone or have sex with someone. I didn't sleep very well last night. So I put all the electrodes in me and stuff, and I had to keep coming and plug stuff back in. So it wasn't a very good night last night.
Sexomnia is almost never seen in a clinical environment, so the night vision footage of Christian at home is a rare opportunity to observe this condition.
Okay, so this is some footage of the patient that's being recorded in his own home, sleeping in bed with his partner.
With a mobile next to them just to wake them up at night.
Yes, that's bad sleep hygiene, isn't it?
Oh. And he's having some sexual gyrations, so the arousal has sort of led to his
some certainly behaviour.
simulation of sex.
And his eyes were closed through all of that, suggesting that he is still asleep.
He's asleep. That's amazing.
Bottom lines from the sleep study is that we don't have anything more specific to deal with. Treatment will be aimed at improving your sleep, and if that in itself isn't enough, and sometimes it isn't, then using medications just to settle the night. Yeah. Very simple medication, it's a sedative, but used in very low dose and can usually, if not, well, you can usually control the problem.
The frequency of Christian's sexomnia is starting to have an impact on his waking life.
I've been thinking about that recently, like whether or not it affects my sex drive, because in I've noticed it has sort of slowed down a little bit, but because I think my body may be satisfied, even though in my mind, like, I might not be satisfied, my body may be, so maybe it is curbing like, my sort of urges when I am conscious, so that has started worrying me a little bit recently. If, for example, I couldn't sort of get myself in the mood, then, you know, that would have an adverse effect on Jade, because she's not really tend to benefit from it when I'm in my sleep, so I think that would make things quite bad.
Tom's been taking his new medication for a couple of weeks, but there's been a dramatic development.
About 3:30, he started shouting, leapt out of bed, got to the front, to his bedroom door, and he'd locked it. And I started shouting to, because he was running around, I started shouting, and I said, it's Dad, you're having a nightmare. He said, the door's locked.
By then I came up the stairs and Steve was at the door trying to coax Tom to open the door. He did eventually, but when we came into the room, that window there was wide open, and he doesn't have those windows open, they're shut.
This is hopefully going to stop him doing it again. We'll see.
Things do seem to be escalating at quite a pace. The drama of it seems to have increased, I think, and the danger bit of it is certainly increased.
Yeah, I suppose I went for a window, but it's got to a stage now where nothing's new. It doesn't surprise me, it doesn't really shock me. At least this time I didn't throw myself out of it. When I took the tablets, I didn't think, oh yeah, this one's definitely going to be the one, because I've had that 3 times before. It's like the 4th different type of drug I've taken, and it hasn't made one iota of a difference. Hasn't slowed it down, hasn't done anything, in my opinion, to help it.
With his latest medication not working, and with only a few months before he goes travelling, Tom's heading back to London for another appointment with Dr. Koski.
I'm probably not going to come back up to London again after today to see a doctor, because I'm not driving 8 hours return to get told, sorry, that hasn't worked, here's a prescription for another one.
I absolutely can see where Tom is coming from, but, you know, he does have Bella, she does stay overnight, and there's going to come a time when I'm not always going to be around to have her, to be there as well. But it's the implications with if we don't get it sorted, like you're travelling, like Bella, and any other children that you may have.
Thomas, come through.
Dr. Koski. How you doing? You all right?
Hello.
Hi.
Come in. You're Thomas's mum.
I'm his mum.
The tablets haven't worked at all, really.
Which one? Tell me what's happened. You say you tried the...
Trimipramine, is it?
Trimipramine.
Yeah, trimipramine.
And what happened with that?
Nothing. Just...
Didn't notice any difference?
Nothing.
What about the second tablet, the lorazepam?
I take the lorazepam.
We didn't go and get the second tablet because they said, I think on the prescription or something, it said to wait.
Okay. I suspect that's probably going to be the tablet that works, actually, the lorazepam. It's a lot like the initial tablet, the clonazepam, but it doesn't cause that sort of hangover effect because it's very short-acting. As we've talked about before, we're sort of in the realms of trial and error because there's so little evidence, there's so little research about what to use. Okay, well, I'll write a prescription for those.
When I go to see Dr. Koski, I'm never ever fully expecting him to say, oh, you know, we should be doing this and it should be done, because he's never got that attitude either. The doctor's never ever looking at me as if to say, we can cure this. The first thing they say to me is, have you tried this? Yeah, okay, well, you've been on this sedative, well, we'll have to try you on this sedative. And they've never told me that there's a cure, so I'm not expecting a cure. Cheers, thanks, Dr.
I'll
Koski.
make the appointment in place.
Thank you.
I'll review it at that time.
I want to be able to put this behind me and not have to worry about stuff like that. I want to be able to go to bed with my girlfriend fine, have my daughter in my bedroom and not have to worry about it, but I can't see that happening. I can't see any way out of it at the moment.
After trying 6 different kinds of medication to control his night terrors without success, Tom's decided it's time to look elsewhere.
Hello everyone, I'm Narina. We've got lots of time to talk about sleep today, which is fantastic. And what I want you to do, just close your eyes and just for the next few seconds, just notice your breathing.
I think the conventional route of medication, I'm thinking of it less and less and less now.
And now I want you to think softness in your face.
Their main goal is to sedate me enough so I can't physically move. not that I stop having night terrors, it's just that I can't injure myself.
When you're ready to breathe out, I want you to prolong that exhalation.
Whereas this is sort of treating more the problem than just masking it with drugs.
Breathing out as much as you can before you breathe back in. With all respect to our medical profession, many of the doctors that I work with will say that, you know, they've been taught, you know, what the sleep disorders are and what drugs can be used to teach them, but haven't been told much about the preventative side. Do you sleep with your mobile phone next to you or anything? And do you ever sort of consciously just be quiet for a bit and just rest?
No.
Now, one of the things I would love to have you experiment with is to start taking some breaks during the day where you're away from your phones, away from technology, away from computers, and just being quiet. It might just be a few minutes at a time. Just allowing your breathing to do whatever it wants to do.
Unfortunately, there's even less evidence that talking therapies or trying to de-stress people reduce the incidence of parasomnias. Now, that doesn't mean it isn't the way to go, but it isn't going to make the sleep disorder go away.
Following his assessment at Papworth Clinic, Dave's been taking medication for 2 weeks.
I've not really seen a difference in my night terrors at all. I'm keeping positive that we can get this sorted one day. I really want the problem resolved because in a few years' time, if we want to start a family, we will have that door open, really.
Everybody's got things and secrets that they live with, and I think it's just one of those things that I have to accept as part of him, really.
Christian is about to start taking medication for his sexomnia. He's always relied on Jade to tell him what happens during the night, but as he starts to face up to his condition, he's decided he wants to see for himself.
I don't know what to expect. I have like sort of a weird warped view of it just from what Jade's told me, and sort of my weird imagination as well created a different image, but yeah, hopefully it's not as bad as I sort of think it is. It was 1,000 times worse than I thought. And that was embarrassing. That was humiliating, man.
Before, I was always explaining it to him, but now he's seen it. I don't know, it's like a weight sort of being lifted off my shoulders. So yeah, he knows what's happening.
Christian's been taking his medication for the past 5 days, and there are some encouraging developments.
Since he's been on this medication, his sex drive when he's awake has become a lot higher, and yeah.
I'm a very nurturing lover, what should I say?
Encouraged by Dr. Ramla Khan, Tom has embraced alternative therapies as a way of coping with his parasomnia, and it seems to be working.
I think it's actually a relief, really, that I don't have to take the medication. Because I was always worrying, oh, I know what they're going to do, you know, they're going to medicate me. I'll be one of those medicated kids from America. And I'd always think, you know, oh, that's what they want. You know, that's what the men in the suits want. But now I don't have to, because I've tried it and it didn't work.
down to the beach?
Yeah.
I have noticed a huge difference, actually. I noticed a difference after the first session. He was very keen to go to the second session, and he just seems to be a lot more happy.
Mum does definitely try and be overprotective. I don't know, I think she thinks like, I'm not out the woods yet, do you know what I mean? I say it to her, I say, you know, I'm 23 now. I'm 24, you know, I'm 24 next month.
I don't think you ever let your kids go to such an extent that you stop worrying about them or doing things for them. I don't think that ever happens. But yeah, you know, it is probably time to say, off you go, Tom. And I won't, whereas perhaps in the past, I have been more proactive in saying, is there anything I can do? Is there whatever? I think it's probably time for Tom to come to me now for that help rather than me offer it. I think that's the difference.
With so little known about parasomnia and no proven treatments, most sufferers and their families will have to find their own ways to cope with what happens when the lights go out.
There's no doubt that stress won't go away. Life is getting harder all the time, current economic climate. And the problem we have is that people are now working later, they've got activities in the evening, they've got computers, they've got tablets, they've got games to play, videos to watch. So it's more important than ever that we make the best use of the sleep time that we have.